Hello, everybody. My name is Israel Rodriguez. I was emailed today by Sean Burns, who found my post and was wondering if I'd be able to create a screen capture of Maya to Cinema 4D process. The post that he's talking about is, go ahead and click on it here. On the Cinema 4D portal, Pixelfire was asking if anybody could help them in, they were creating objects in Maya and they needed to get them the models from modeling the Cinema 4D without having to texture everything or retexture everything. It's really not a difficult job to do. Let's go ahead and jump into Maya here. I'm going to go ahead and open up one of my scenes. That heavy panting, if you hear it, is my dog who I just took out to have a good long run. I should say good playtime. Okay, here's my little character. He's animated. Okay. Now I'm going to show you with an animated character. It will come in as a static object in Cinema 4D. Okay. One of the things is I have too many different textures with the same name that needed to be changed, but I'm not going to go ahead and change it right now. I'll go ahead and do that in Cinema 4D. Now, as everybody knows, you need to go to Windows, Settings, Plugin Manager. Scroll down to your OBJ. Make sure it's loaded. I have all of them loaded. It's just something that I do. All my plugins. And what I'm going to come to is I'm going to go to File, Export All. Now, when you export all, as you see here, the ones that are hidden are still going to be exported. So all the phonemes that I created for this character are going to end up showing up. Now, I like to keep groups off. It'll all be imported as one object. Okay? Materials and smoothing and normals. Okay? Export, these two check. OBJ, make sure you turn on OBJ from the drop-down menu, because there's a whole heck of a lot to pick from nowadays. Okay, so we'll go with the OBJ export, export all. I'm going to go ahead and go to my desktop. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it Orange Guy. And down here in the file name, Orange Guy as well, why not, right? Let's go ahead and double click this to open it. Export all. Now remember, I exported all, so all my textures that I have here are going to be exported as well. Which I like to do that into a folder for Cinema 4D because it makes it a whole lot easier to take my object and all the objects and all the UV mapping that's on it. So all this UV mapped will come in just fine, just right in the Cinema 4D. Okay, let's go ahead and open up Cinema 4D. Now, let's go over here. Orange Guy. As you see, this is my textures, OBJ file. So I'm just going to grab it and drag it into the scene. Now, I'm going by centimeters, I'm just going to scale it to 5, make it pretty large. And as I said, they're all going to come in as one object. That means my dome and each one of these textures. Okay? So let's see. As you see here, each and every one of these textures are here. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll on in. And as I said, you'll see the phonemes. Okay. Now one thing you can do is copy the object and delete out, but since if you're doing static objects like buildings or whatever, or you can go from Maya to Cinema 4D by exporting only the selection you want and then bring them all in individually, which takes longer, and but you can do it that way. I personally prefer to bring them in as one object, make my layers, and delete what I need out by selecting faces. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to find out what's what. So let's go to the first texture. Okay, first texture, I'm just going to go ahead and drop the color on it. And as you see, it is actually the cover to the eye, so I'm going to end up renaming this to eye cover, or you can, give it a transparency, my refraction up. I'm going to go to specular, drop this down to about 20 and this to about 80, 85. Okay. Might as well give it a little reflection here. Give it a Fresnel. Drop this down to about 5. I like to work as I go. So let me just turn that off. Now. The darkness that you see is not shadow on the arm or the foot. That's the normals. Sometimes you get one or two little gray areas there. This here, let's see. So we've got something pink here. What does it say? Anything pink. What's pink? Okay, so I don't really see anything pink at the moment. Let's see, let's drop this to no wonder why I don't see anything pink. Let's go back to the first one. Make sure you're in color, everybody. I turned the transparency on and the reflection, so that's why I was in the wrong one. So let's go back to this. Now we see what it is. It's the eyeball. So let's go ahead and change it to eyes. Now since, like I said, all the texture maps came in here as well. So here's eyes copy. Open. Okay. As you can see, the UV map falls in just fine. This right here is the box. So we're going to go ahead and bring in my box. And as you see, it's just a flat image. But from Maya to Cinema 4D, it carried in my UVs. Okay? So as you see, I still have my UVs. So this is the extent of how far you're going to have to go with trying to figure out what's what. So this is my dome. Let's throw in the luminosity. This. Again, I was in luminosity. So let's go back to color. That's my floor. So we're going to go ahead and give it a gray look. Some reflection. The Fresnel, from what I learned from Grayscale Gorilla, is the best reflection to make it more realistic. So now we have here teeth. One of them is actually gums. So really don't know which one it is until I get in there. So it's the actual teeth. Okay. We'll throw that on a white. And I would give it a little luminosity, a little to that. Go nice and low. And we're just going to make sure that this says teeth. And this one here, well, it's not the gums. So, if it's not either one of those, again, let's go back in. It's just the price I pay for not paying too much attention. So let's go ahead and get away from the luminance again and go back to the color. And as you see, that was the gums. And we're going to give it a pretty good specular here. Okay. The tongue has a UV matte. So I'm just going to come over here and grab the tongue. Initial shader can be probably the body. Let's see. No, it's actuality high phonemes. So let's just go ahead and make this one orange. Let's give it a nice specular as well. And I'm going to make it reflective just to have fun with it. Let's change the color and make it a little bit more brighter, shall we? Okay. So we're going to call these funnels. Let's see. All right, this is the body. Go ahead and get my skin. You can use JPEGs or Targas or PNGs, doesn't really matter. Go ahead and change this to like an orange color as well. My bump is the let's see. First things first, let's up the bump. It doesn't really notice that, does it? Let's try changing the black point. You can see it there, so keep the black point. All right. Now here's what I was telling you about. All these have about the same names. Okay, so here, let's go to coloring. Drop it down to a green. So arms. Make it a little bit brighter here. The hands, let's go ahead and make the hands white. Drop to about 90. Off-white keeps it, makes it better. So this is hands. Let's see. This is probably legs. Nope. This is actually the stem. This also has a UV on it. And the UV is actually on the Y. Okay. So as you can see, it's on the Y. Let's see, here's another one. Yeah. Legs. Let's just go ahead and darken this one up. Almost matches. So this is legs. And these are the shoes. So let's go ahead and make this like a brownish color. And let's see, leaf. And again, this one has a UV on it. Because of the UV, I'm not even going to have to worry about trying to put like an alpha in or anything like that. Okay. So here he is, the little tyke, the little terror. Brought in the Cinema 4D. And let's go ahead and, since I have my dome and it has luminosity on it, I'm just going to go ahead and give some ambient occlusion, value of transparency because of the eyes. And let's just turn on global illumination. I'm going to make this right there. Now let's expand this. And all right. Again, because the normals on the foot and the arm, I think they reverse themselves when they come in. I had checked before, my normals were fine in Maya. So it could be a little quirkiness, something that you could probably fix. I don't know if you're doing something static or if you're doing a character in, or if you're doing a character in Cinema 4D or Maya or something, you want to bring it in, then, well, you might have to just make sure you have all your texturing done right. And as you see, it's simple setup. Your UVs are brought in. There's no difficultness. Now the only other thing that you might want to do is actually go in and take each and every individual object itself and copy, paste them out, make your layers, and separate them that way. Like I said, depending on what you're doing, just to make it easier for yourself. Or to make it also easier for yourself, just export everything as the object by itself from Maya and then import it in the same way. Make sure your scaling on every object that you import in is the same so that you can have the proper scaling to however you're supposed to have it. Add your textures to it the same way that I just showed you, and everything can be UV'd in just fine. And there you have it, there you be. If you guys have any questions, you can shoot me an email at israeldanielrodriguez@gmail.com. It's ISRAEL period DANIEL period RODRIGUEZ @gmail.com. And I'll help you out with whatever else you need. As I have here, the bump texture is a little bit strong, but for all intents and purposes for this little tutorial of what you need to do from Maya to Cinema 4D, you more or less get the gist on it. Just going to go ahead and render them out so you can see. Takes a while because of any occlusion that's on it. And again, just make sure you check your UVs and your normal maps on your characters before you decide to export them out, or your objects. So this way it won't do what my arm and my foot are doing there. Yeah, the bump's way too heavy. But it's all about tweaking once you're in here, fixing your light and doing what you need to do. So there you have it. You guys have a great one.